Welcome to Eye on the Illini. This is Mike Kegley here with Kedrick Prince. Well, that was something, Ked. I tell you, that was a game that you just don't see the Illini come out and literally they didn't just blow the team out. I mean, they slammed the door on their hands and just totally obliterated Northwestern and got that out of the way early.
Good practice game. That's the way I look at it. I'm sorry. That's what I want to call it. It was good practice for Saturday. And I thought it got a little physical tonight, which is a part of it, I guess. And you're going against a rival. And I didn't like seeing some of the physical play. It's tough because you want to be in the game and you want to make a statement against Northwestern, and you want to be prepared for Michigan State and be ready to go. So just a great practice performance is what I'm calling it. It was a great overall game. This is what they need. But here's what I hope don't happen. They don't go play at Michigan State and then they don't put it in the ocean. I hope that doesn't happen. But we got to enjoy this win tonight. It is what it is. And you take this and, Chris Collins' team looked really out of sync tonight and just out of sorts, and Illinois' size and three-point shooting and ball movement was just too much for them.
Yeah, it was. Illinois put them in a blender and just saw how quick you could make a puree out of a basketball team. That was impressive. Let's take a look at some of the stats because I know people like to talk a little bit about that. And as we look at what Illinois did, Mirkovich, 12 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and caused a little bit of disturbing later on in the game. Stojakovic, 17 points, almost had one of the greatest dunks of all time, almost. 4 boards, 2 assists. Tomislav Ivicic was at 5 points, 12 boards, 5 assists, and he did foul out and had an interesting technical. The talking technicals, it's like, I don't know. I guess I'm getting too old for the game. Jake Davis, 9 points, 3 boards, 2 assists. Keaton Wagler just didn't have to really do much tonight. 13 points, 7 boards, 5 assists. Another very nice game for him. Lee was at 2 points. We had Rickhouse with 3 for 6 from the 3. I think he shot and he yelled "Ked" every time he made one. But that was Ben. Ben was 13 points, 7 boards, and an assist. Red didn't score. Fabemi didn't score. He did have 1 rebound. Big Z, 13 points, 7 boards, 1 assist. And Petro got in the game and had 2 assists while he was in there for 6 minutes. So impressive game. Held Martinelli to 4 points. That and Nick is a good player. I mean, that's a guy who is, stopping him is not easy. And they literally just took the wheels off of Northwestern, and that was that. The plus minuses tonight were pretty funny. Keaton Wagler tonight on the plus minus was a plus 48.
Jiminy Christmas. Was he really?
Yes, he was. Plus 48. That's pretty rare, folks. You had Merck and Big Z at 34. 29 was Rickhouse. 24 was Stojakovic, and 23 was Tomislav and Jake. So a nice job there. And when you look at overall, Illinois had quite a game when you just look at the defensive component, holding Northwestern to sub 30%. Northwestern shot 29% from the field, 16% from the 3, 50% from the free throw line. They were only 2 for 4. They did, I guess the beautiful part for Northwestern is they only had 1 turnover all game. and Illinois had 11. Off at the rebounds, Illinois was up 50-27. Ked. Wow. Second chance points 14-2 for Illinois. Bench points 28-14 for Illinois. Points in the paint, Northwestern 22-20 won that. Fast break points, Northwestern 14-4. Illinois 3 blocks to 1. 7 steals by Northwestern to 1. 20 assists to 10 for Illinois. The lead changed a whopping 2 times, and it took Illinois till 1:09 to get the lead and never relinquished it. This is a slaughteration. I'm making up a new word here, you know. It was a slaughteration. Good. Yeah. And then I guess lastly, just looking at the Ken Palm, you've got Illinois that now is, look, you think I could get to the right slide. So Illinois is firmly in 5th place there, 20-3. Yet another season of 20 wins for Brad Underwood's getting to be like clockwork. Just a really, really good showing against a team that isn't that good, but you're supposed to beat teams like that, and Illinois took them to the woodshed, Ked. Isn't that what you're supposed to do when you're a good team?
That's exactly what you're supposed to do. They came out, Mike, and they handled business. They did what they were supposed to do, and they let Northwestern know who the better team was tonight. And everything that they did, they executed. And Michael, you know, you're going over plus or minuses. There's so many stars tonight. I mean, how do you say, or who do you say played really well? Who's the player of the game? The player of the game could have went to. I gave it to Ben Humrickhouse. It could have went to a lot of people. But in all fairness, though, to me, it could have went to anybody. Anybody in the world could have won player of the game, and just the effort was just outstanding tonight by the whole team.
Yeah, I agree. Was a great effort. So you look at this, and it's over now. And now all of a sudden you have to go up to deal with Michigan State. And again, we've seen them over the years. They play a brand of basketball that the Big Ten allows, particularly up there. We saw Jeremy Fears with the nut kick tonight. Unfortunate these guys. At some point, that's how you get a fight start, that somebody really does get hurt. You and I are old enough to remember Rudy Tomjanovich getting his face blown up. And I'm not certain where he was at in the cause of that fight, but it seems like, somebody starts something like that and somebody non-related ends up getting hurt in the middle of it. So I'm hoping that they can keep it clean. And I got to be honest with you, Ked, if I'm the Big Ten, not that I want to ruin this game, but do you think Big Ten has to think about suspending him after that?
I thought Tom was going to sit him out tonight and put him on the bench. I know he came out late in the game. Something's going to happen, and I'm going to tell you, I don't know who it's going to be, but it's not. There's too many games now, too many incidences where it's not a fluke, And if I'm the opposing coach, I'm going to say something. I don't even know. I've got to be careful what I say here because I know I don't want to be.
We know you're good friends with the family, and you obviously.
You know what? I'm a little. Mike, I was actually. People know that, but I want to the officiating. They read the papers. They see stuff. They know what's there, and I just don't understand. I'm just really, really just beside myself because everybody in the country is seeing it. It's all on social media. Everybody has social media. They all see things. Well, it doesn't have to be Twitter. It could be Facebook. It's out there. And you saw it. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised the Minnesota coach didn't say anything. I just got to watch the women play, and Shauna Green should have been thrown out of the game with last 1.2 on the clock. Illinois women just lost a heartbreaker. I mean, you talk about swallowing your whistle when one of the girls got fouled. I just don't understand it. I'm just baffled by it. It makes no sense to me. I'm tired of trying to figure it out. It's what it's going to be. And the reason I'm bringing this up now, you mentioned Fears. I don't mind people guarding Keaton Wagler tough. But the grabbing and holding where he can't go to the ball, and it's not. It should be called. And I was glad to see The players stick up for them, stick up for their teammates tonight. I'm just sick of seeing that. And I've said it. I'm going to go public with this. And I don't care if you want to put this on one of your segments. I'm worried about what's going to happen Saturday, with the way Michigan State's playing and what Fears is doing, because the last thing you want to see as an Illinois fan or team people who cover Illinois is to see him get hurt. I don't want to see that.
Well, and look, I saw some guy on Twitter tonight from, obviously a Michigan State fan saying, you guys are still mad at, Cisco. And it's like, dude, he went out there and broke a guy's nose without trying to make a play on the ball. And you could say what you want about Tom Izzo, but there are certain players over the course of his 30 years who that's been their trademark, and they've carried it into the NBA. They're learning it somewhere. It's not a coincidence. It's not just luck, And so the thing I would say to a Michigan State fan is go ahead and find the Illini player who cheap shots all the time, because the only guy who would really get down and dirty with people in the last few years, of course, was DeMonte Williams, but he was a counterpuncher. He was never the first guy to do it. He was always the second guy to do it, though, and so DeMonte Williams was kind of like a Hulk Hogan, WWE guy that he never breaks the rules until the other guy breaks the rules, and then he does it. But Michigan State's got a history of that. Izzo is on the court the whole game up there. They literally, the referees swallow their whistle, they swallow their pride, and the Big Ten doesn't do anything about it. It is what it is. He's a Hall of Fame coach.
But it needs to happen, Mike, because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Keaton's going to get a couple fouls called, and Tom Izzo's going to come off that bench, and the whole game is going to change. He won't get another call the rest of the night. Mark my word.
Yeah, well, I agree. That's the tendency, the way it goes. But let's go back. Let's go back and talk a little bit about. I guess we're talking about Fears. I think the other thing I forwarded out on my ex at Mike Kegley. If you give me a follow if you want to, but I forwarded out one of the guys that I've interviewed over the years from Minnesota. He had a couple plays that he had on his Twitter feed, but you can tell this guy is not the type of guy who really complains about much. He's learned how to deal with Minnesota not winning games. And he was pretty hot under the collar with the play that they faced tonight. And I can only think that losing a game and being at home is just going to encourage more of that, not less.
Well, Mike, they've lost 2 games in a row. They know, they're already in the, behind the 8 ball when it comes to competing for the Big Ten title. Illinois has to go in there and try to take care of business. But if there's one time I really, really want to see Brad Underwood be the Brad Underwood of old, it's Saturday. A lot of fans complained and whined and cried about how aggressive he was as a coach and how he chewed officials' asses out when he was first got into the Big Ten. He's been Mr. Nice Guy once. Now, I'm telling you, don't know the outcome Saturday. I have no idea. I don't know how the team is going to play, but I'm going to tell you this. If he doesn't say anything and challenge the officials the way Tom is, they're not going to win, because Tom, you watched the game last Friday when they played Michigan. I said the last podcast, he spent more time in officials' ears than he was coaching. And I'm just worried about that because I know, on top of the fact that Michigan State's physical, and they do that, and I don't really care what a Michigan State fan says to me. They can talk about the Cisco foul with Io. If you guys remember, they went at Kofi hard up at Michigan State as well. So it's not a fluke. I don't like it. I'm just not becoming a fan of it. And if they're not going to win the Big Ten, Mike, they might as well take somebody out with them.
Well, and I don't mind playing hard. That's fine. It's just when, like I said, Sissoko went and literally busted Io in the face. The ball was nowhere near where his hand was, and it was clearly a hatchet man. It was like hockey where you bring in the goon to put somebody down, and they let Izzo get away with that crap year after year. And again, I wouldn't last 5 minutes as a referee, because the first time a coach is screaming at me like Izzo or even early Underwood, in his first couple of years, I'm going to call the game to the letter of the law. And, if you touch somebody, it's a foul, and I'll just tell the coach how many more of these you want me to call. because that's in the rule book, and shut them up. But I will tell you, probably the reason Underwood yelled more and was madder is that the roster that first couple of years probably pissed him off.
Yeah, but I'm sure it did, but he just didn't back down. And now, if he gets upset with an official, like I think tonight he got upset because they were grabbing Keaton a little bit, and he'll say stuff and he'll walk away. It's okay to get technical foul. It's okay because other coaches are going to do it, and it changes the game. You can clearly see there was a call, and it didn't affect the game by any stretch of imagination. But there was a call that it was an over the back call, I think, on Merkovic. And honestly, it was an over-the-back call. I don't think the official was going to call it. Chris Collins yells over the back, and as soon as he did, the official threw his hand up. It is. And that's why I'm like, you got to start saying stuff. You got to start speaking up, and I know he's going to stick up for his players. I'm just really curious to see how this goes Saturday. I know Michigan State's playing for their lives, and if Illinois lose, but I don't want to see anybody get hurt. And I've seen enough of it, and there's no denying that this stuff is happening, and there's no accidents. There's no okay, this is a mistake. It's dangerous, and it's going to hurt someone, and that's what the part about it I don't like. The Minnesota player turned around and looked at the official because I didn't watch all the game. I think there was one time where he shoved him in the neck. I think I saw that on social media too as well, and then we also had the kick in the private.
Yeah, and there was another play too, a trip. So I mean.
Okay.
It is what it is because it seems like for whatever reason it's tolerated this year. And again, I want Fears to start and I want him to play the whole damn game. I want to see which team is better, but I don't want it to turn into a fight where somebody gets hurt because Io was out for a while and never really, except for one or two games, never really got back into his form as he came back. So
I see the comment about Kenny about meeting at the Pizza Hut. I will tell you guys this. If you guys know anybody, who knows anything about European basketball players, they're nice. But I'm going to tell you, they are some badasses when they get mad. I remember, go back to the Indiana game last year with, I'm telling you, with Lou Goody, that whole situation. They're not going to back down. And I was glad to see Tommy did what he did tonight. I mean, you know what? Andre got hurt going to the basket. They're going to stick up for each other, and they should do that. They're tough.
Merk was trying his best when Stojakovic got tackled. And I'll tell you what, let's talk about Merkovic for a second, because if you look at what he's doing right now, if it wasn't for Keaton Wagler, we would be talking about him having one of the most successful freshman years in the history of Illinois sports. Or in the history of Illinois basketball.
He's having a really good – I've said that, Mike. He's having a great year, not just on Illinois, from Illinois standpoint, just, nationally. I mean, he'll make the all-freshman team, but it's hard because, everybody's overshadowed. Keaton has taken the limelight, and deservedly so. He should. But he's having a great year, and this team is not the same without him. I'm really curious to see the matchup with him, and if he's guarding Carr, how that matches up. I think Michigan State is going to have a tough time at the rim as long as Zonomer doesn't get in trouble. And I think right now, you saw tonight, we've always talked about two people. Most of it's been Tommy being the guy that's for Illinois to reach their ceiling to play well. He's playing really well right now. But I think the other X factor is Andre Stojakovic. He's been quiet. When you get those two guys going together with everybody else, good luck trying to beat them. Good luck.
Yeah, I liked Andre being more aggressive tonight. I thought if he's going to go to the hoop with that type of intensity, he's going to get more free throws. He's going to make a difference. And then that creates open shots for Ben, for Jake, for Keaton, and others. So I thought he played fantastic. But going back to Merkovic, averaging 12.4 points a game, 8.2 rebounds, almost 2.5 assists. He and only 1 point, only 2 turnovers a game, Ked. So he's not nearly KJ levels. And he's got he's shooting 47% from the field, 36% from the three, and 80% from the free throw line. that's a heck of a year that we're really not, we're not, except for a few times, we don't really talk much about it. And the funny thing is while we can tell he is not the fleetest of foot, he plays smart with his body, and he manages to keep his body between his man and the basket many times on offense as well, and causes all sorts of problems by doing that.
He's played. He knows when you're not a quick guy, a fast guy, you learn to adjust, and he's done a really good job of learning to adjust. He's not, but you know what? He doesn't get beat on defense really bad, and he uses his body and his footwork to go by people. If you don't mind, I want to make a comment about this one. Yes, remember when people were about Phoenix not coming to Illinois? So here's the deal. I got to go up to an AAU event, and I was lucky enough to sit next to Coach Underwood and the entire staff when they were looking at him, and they were really high on him when he was younger. But you got to remember, guys, now that this is over, I'm gonna spill the beans here. Illinois is trying to build a certain system, which you can see. They want all 5 guys who can shoot. Brad has always wanted that ever since he's been there. Even his Stephen F. Austin teams, they could always shoot. He struggled early on in Illinois because his teams couldn't shoot. You look at Phoenix Gill, not that he's not a great shooter, but I don't think at this point and right now, he's not on the level that these kids are right now. He's just not. You look at Jeremy Fears, a kid who wanted to come to Illinois in the worst way. Brad passed on him because he's not a good shooter. You have to be able to shoot in this offense. How many times we've heard how good of an offense this is, how they can all shoot. Every coach will tell you at a press conference, post-game, pre-game press conference, you pick your poison with them. They're all going to do that. Because you can't. Kendall wanted his son at Illinois. He did. And here's the other part about that, guys. Say Brad Underwood brings this kid and puts Phoenix on the roster, and he's not playing a lot like Brandon Lee. How is that going to sit well? You bring in your son or bring a kid in who is arguably one of the top 5 or 6 basketball players in the history of Illinois, and his kid comes in and he sits on the bench. Brad's not going to win because then he's going to feel pressure to play him. Then if he's not doing well, you can't win. I don't blame him. And those are tough decisions. They really, really are tough decisions. And I wanted, Phoenix to be at Illinois too, but at the same time, if you look at this roster, with who's on there, who's he going to play in front of?
Yeah.
Because it's not going to – and to be truthful, if you really think about it, this is not a knock against Northwestern. He's not playing for Northwestern either. Tonight he did. I think Chris Collins did that as a courtesy. I've been watching. There's been games he doesn't get off the bench.
Yeah, and look, Gill is also – the other thing that people don't talk about enough, in my opinion, is the Brad's looking for length at every position if he can get it. So even a guy like Gibbs Lawhorn, who is as athletic as anybody you'll ever find, but at 6'1", he's just, Underwood likes guys at 6'4", 6'5". Look at Keaton at 6'6", that he's got coming in, or between 6'4" and 6'6". It's you got to be a big dude to play here as well. And then on top of that, you got to be 6'6" and be able to shoot the three. And if you're 6'3" and you can't shoot the three, that's not a good future at Illinois.
Mike, let's look at the 2026 classes coming in. You talk about size. Lucas Murillo, a shooting guard, he's 6'7". Ethan Brown, a combo guard, 6'4". Landon Davis, a power forward, 6'8". What you're saying is 100% right. That's what he wants, and now he has the size and he has the system that he wants. And you look at the 2027 class, shooting guard Quentin Kitt, 6'6". Mason Martin, shooting guard, 6'5". Kylan Boswell's playing because he's Kylan Boswell and he's a difference maker. But Brad has a system and he wants length. He wants guys that can shoot the basketball. And that's what they go after. Everybody he's looking at. I have a friend who works at the same high school that Landon Davis is at. And he sends me pictures from time to time because he's a coach. He's a track coach. That kid, after every game, it doesn't matter, is in that gym by himself, working on his shot and his game. So they, you know what, these kids come in and they want to become good shooters. That's what Brad likes. And right now, and it's fun to watch because if you look at it, we can still say it's not one of the most athletic teams, but they have learned their offense and they have mastered it so well. If they're making shots like this, I mean, what do? You zone them? You can't do that. You attack the basket. There's size down there that can make you pay. You know, I think about this. There was a time, I don't know if it happened tonight, when they played Nebraska, you had Andres Stojakovic out there at 6'7", Keaton Weigler at 6'6", Ben Humrickhouse, who was 6'9", and both the Beastage brothers out there who was 7 foot and 7'1". Mike, that is some scurry stuff. And it's tough to score against that. It's linked. Yes, I know it's scary, and I said scurry, so I know the difference, people. So cut me some slack. But my point is, it's really, really, and it's fun. People should enjoy this, not overanalyze it. It's great. What is this one? We'll love you.
I don't know if Kendall looked upset. I'm sure he wishes that his son was playing for Illinois, but marry a taller wife so your kid gets a couple inches taller.
I have to agree with this person here. I thought he looked mad. I'm not going to pretend I thought he looked mad because maybe this. I don't know what it was. I can't read his mind. I'm not going to pretend to try to read his mind. But he looked like he was upset to me because of the blowout. Maybe because his son's not a part of it. Maybe he's remembering what it was like. Maybe he was hoping his team would win. I don't know what he was thinking, and maybe he wasn't. But I thought personally. I thought he looked unhappy too. I'm not going to say that I didn't think that because I did think that.
Yep. Yeah, and basically Underwood, you know, he had Jeremy Fears and just kind of went in a different direction. Went for taller guards. So I mean,
he's yeah. Well, how about this one, Jeremiah Fears? If that's what he's talking about. What is
that's somebody somebody just doesn't understand. He thinks we're confusing Jeremiah, but
trust me,
had them both.
Let me make this perfectly clear. If there's anybody who knows and not making a mistake about that family, it is the guy talking right now. I talk to the dude 2 or 3 times a week. When his kids were in 8th and 9th grade, I've been talking to this guy. I talked to him yesterday. I'm not getting it mixed up. I know exactly what he thinks and how he feels about everything. People don't like him. He's not for everybody. Totally understand that. There's times where he made me want to drive off the road arguing with him, but it is what it is. So, I mean, he does. He's very, very frustrating to talk to, but the one thing I'll give him credit for, he's been right about his kids.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not just dad believing.
Yeah.
And by the way, it is, just so you know, every fan base feels this way because Michigan State's got people talking about how the officials had it out for them tonight against Minnesota, and
that's just kind of stuff that makes me not want to say anything because I look stupid by saying that.
Look, we all do it, right? We all do it. So that
I don't think it costs games. I just don't like. I guess my biggest complaint about it, Mike, has it cost teams games? Well, it cost the women at least a chance to win tonight. I know that because I just watched the end of it. But nobody's going to get it perfect. Nobody's going to get it right. And I want to be nice because I have a lot of friends who are officials and they always chew my butt out when I say it. But I have no problem telling them to their face to get better at it. I will say that. So every fan base says that, and you want every call. Some things they look pretty obvious and some things aren't. I will end it with this. I don't want to see coaches dictate fouls. And that is my number one concern going into Saturday's game. For everybody listening to this podcast, you watch Saturday. And you watch the antics. If there's a questionable call, take your eyes off the court and look at that man on the bench on the left side of your TV screen and watch what he does and watch what he says. He's going to be in those officials, but I think they're tired. I wouldn't want to do a Michigan State game. I would not want to do a Michigan State game in the world.
People don't understand, Ked, because if you cover a game and you're there at Michigan State or when they're playing, he literally spends the whole game yelling at referees. I mean, he is literally up the whole game complaining about every call. I don't know how these guys do it. And you know, you'll hear me complain, but for the games that they have to do for Izzo, I would have to be sainted because I would probably get in a fight with him.
Okay, so for the Michigan State fans out there who are going to criticize Mr. Prince and Mr. Cagley, if you have the Big Ten Network, and I'm not trying to give them any publicity or free plug, go back and watch Friday's game and tell me, either one of us, Mike Cagley or Kedrick Prince, that he did not spend 60% of his time yelling at the officials. There was times during timeouts he didn't even talk to his kids. So we're not just fabricating because we're mad. I'm not mad at Michigan State. That's their program. That's their coach. He's going to be a Hall of Fame coach. It is what it is. But the fact is, he does it. I thought last year I was really, really frustrated. I thought Illinois made a run. We all remember how I think there was a foul on Kasparis when he got off the bus and when he put his tennis shoes on. It didn't matter. So I don't want to see that. And that's the thing that makes it tough for me, is, just from that standpoint. Illinois is going to come to play. The people listening to this podcast, Illinois is not going to run. They have played Alabama. They played Tennessee. They went to Mackey. They went to Nebraska. The Breslin Center is not going to face them. It's not going to. How they play, it's a different story. But if you think this team is rattled, they could care less about that.
Yeah. Well, I think it'll be We all hope Izzo's mom doesn't play, because she can go with either hand, and she can break down a defender really well with her left.
But did you think she'll kick people and trip people? No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. I'm sorry. I had to get that in there, Mike. Sorry.
No,
buddy.
but I look, I think this is going to be, like I said, I want Fears to play. I just want him to control his temper or whatever the heck's going on with him right now, because it doesn't do him any favors, and it doesn't do the league any favors to have somebody get hurt. And again, we're looking at this Io going down the lane, getting punched in the face by somebody who's not trying to, he didn't go for the ball when Io was bringing it up. He didn't go the ball when Io had it up, just hit him in the face and broken nose. And did that wreck Illinois' season? I really feel like they would have, Io was playing really well. He had a couple good games, but he did not have that consistency after that game. And so, it made a difference in the end. So I don't want to see that become the norm, but I would like to see Illinois play against a full strength Michigan State and see who wins.
Well, Illinois is going to be at full strength, so that's kind of that won't happen because we're not weak.
Oh, I want to see if Illinois can go up there and beat them without Boswell. Then you know what I mean?
I agree with you, Michael. I want to see it too.
And to be honest with you, if Illinois had a player who was going out and causing injuries, then you would hear me rant the same thing, because there's just no place for hurting another player in sports. It's just not the way you do it.
Let me ask you this. Well, you're right. Let me ask you this, Mike, and our listeners. Would you rather, I know the easiest answer is going to say Ked both. I'm not asking both. But if you had to pick a win Saturday at Michigan State or win at home against Michigan, which would you take and why?
I would go personally, and both people can put their comments in as to what they would. I'm going to want the Michigan one because they're higher ranked. and Brandon, well, we knew Brandon was going to say both, right? But I would say Michigan because Michigan's higher ranked. But okay. I think this is going to be. I think Kenny makes an interesting point, because Wagler has been tough and he has been as unflappable. That will be tested Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is going to go in there. And like I said, the other thing that I was famous for is I would get into it with other coaches. So if I was a player and I had to listen to a coach saying something stupid, I would slow down and tell the coach he's dumb. But that's just me.
For me, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to make our listeners mad, and please forgive me. If I had to pick, here's the deal. I want to beat Michigan State because of Mr. Fears, the father, and Izzo. Okay, I want to beat Michigan.
More as his dad.
I'm coming, baby. Ked's bringing the receipts. Then I want to get Michigan because of Mr. Morez Sr. and how that all played out and how they played Mr. Prince. So I'm about to sleep on it. I don't know, man. If we're gonna do a halftime or a pregame Saturday, I don't know, but I'll have to let you know, because I have some strong feelings about both of those Michigan programs. And what stinks about it, probably 60% of my family lives in Michigan, and they're either Michigan or Michigan State fans. I don't talk to them about sports at all. I crank it, hang the phone up.
Yeah. Tom Izzo's mom is getting a lot of doing a lot of things here. Yeah, I like I said, I really like to say I'd like to see both. I think we all agree on that. But I will comment too. Jess Settles brought it up on the broadcast, and he said it to Underwood, and I thought Underwood kind of gave him an interesting smile. But Jess, you could tell when he was watching, he goes, "This is a fun team to watch," and it hit me, because I was never a big guy on like running plays as a coach. I'd rather, kind of, just get the open guy open. And when it's played well, this Illini offense is fun because they just find the mismatches, get the ball at a mismatch, and let him score.
They hunt mismatches, Mike, and you're right. They really do hunt that. The thing, I guess, here's my concerns to look at Michigan State. They are tough to score on. Defensively, you know what? People always talk about what's better, offense or defense. I'm a more of an offensive guy. Defense to me, my son, I never liked him saying, I would get on his butt about defense, and he was like, Dad, if I score 46 points and they score 45, I won. So Illinois' offense is great, but Michigan State makes it tough to score. They guard you the whole time, they bump, and the reason they do it is because officials are going to call foul the whole game. And they're not all fouls. They're just aggressive. They're good at what they do. But Michigan, to me, is physical as well, but a different kind of physical because they're big. They're very, very big and strong.
Yeah, and I will say Michigan, they're two different teams, but they are unified in the fact that they play very physical, and Illinois plays physical, but not in that fashion. So it will be very, very interesting to see how they go together. And yeah, St. Dominic's is late to the party. We've talked about that because we're all worried that, are they going to try to do the same hockey goon play that they did against Io? So now I will say that Minnesota looked good in the first half, and I don't know what Minnesota does in the second half, but they've had several games where they're right in it at the half and then just totally tank in the second half. Somehow they found a way to get through it tonight. So I thought that was good for Minnesota. Maybe this game will be a turning point for them to do a little bit. Ked, we also heard, until Brad gets in here, we also heard Brett Bielema talk about maybe making an announcement after the Super Bowl on who the new defensive coordinator is going to be. Now, does that mean he's just waiting because he knows that's going to suck up all the headlines? Or does that mean that we're looking at somebody who's on one of those two staffs?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but it would be smart to say that. I mean, it's a good marketing ploy to say you want that because now the fans are going to be looking at the Super Bowl and seeing how both of those teams play defense. If you're a fan of them, because I'm not a fan of either team in the Super Bowl. I watch the Super Bowl right now because of the commercials or the ads. So right now for me, but I'm really curious to see myself. I don't know. Brett has a lot of connections. I don't know if I really, I don't know. It's not me. I don't make the decisions. I don't know if I want a professional guy back there. College football is a lot different than professional football. If you remember when Lovie Smith had his staff together, that didn't work well. It's totally different the way the offense is run. So, but I'm sure Brett has, somebody in mind, and I'm sure he's the head guy, and he's going to tell them what he wants to see done in the system that he wants to see done. Whoever they get, their philosophies better be at man coverage because they recruited to that. You recruited to have guys like that, and if you have a coach that walked out and quit, then things can change. So that's the key, and I know they've already talked to the players and that have already, committed and signed, and I'm sure those players know. They're probably sworn to secrecy because those parents want to know. Because if you don't answer it, they can leave.
Yeah, well, and the other thing I think that is really important, is Aaron Henry. I don't think you can underestimate how important he was for recruiting down in the state of Florida, and you're gonna have to have somebody who can kind of help out because Illinois has brought in some unbelievable athletes, and obviously other guys on the staff have relationships there now. But to me, that's the one thing want to make sure that they cover the bases and get somebody who can do that.
I think so. I think they will. I'm not, you want somebody really good, but Illinois pays well. Whoever they hire, they're going to get a nice chunk of change. People's salaries are online and stuff, and I'm just really confident that he'll get somebody. He has a lot of connections, and it's a good job. I mean, let's talk about that. It's a really, really good job for them to have that. I know we're talking football, but these people are fired up about this Michigan State game, and social media, Mike, is it's everywhere. People were quiet before the Northwestern game, but I think people are just really, really.
That's because people had an inkling that Illinois was going to steamroll them. Look, there's that old statement we used to do in the sales world, which is you're either part of the steamroller or part of the pavement. And tonight, Northwestern was part of the pavement. That's just the way it worked out.
I'm really curious what Chris Collins is going to say. This is a rival. I wonder if he'll give them enough credit, Mike. If he
should have got out of here 3 years ago.
Yeah. He really should have, because the way the Big Ten is going right now, I don't think they have the budget to do what everybody else is doing. Other teams are going to get better. Washington's going to get better. Oregon's going to continue to get better, and I don't know if Northwestern is going to be able to sustain it. Rutgers did it. They had the best talent, and they didn't get into the tournament. So it's going to be tough for him.
Yeah, and I will say that yes, Brett is the master at foreshadowing. There's very few coaches who use the Twitter machine as well as Brett does. You get Lane Kiffin would probably be the only one that I would put a clear cut above. But Brett uses that thing, and who knows, maybe it's September, but he uses that thing very well. Uses X, so I think that's good. Switching back. We can switch back a little bit because people are talking. Collins has got it tough because, everybody knows you got to get the football. You got to get the football going, and I think that's their money is in that stadium, and of course, that's where they tend to be going. Now, depending on the right billionaire, Northwestern can compete with anybody, but right now they don't have that lined up for basketball. So I think Collins is a pretty good coach. He may be having a rough year this year, but as a football coach once told me, you can't make chicken salad out of chicken doo-doo, and you got to have the players. And right now, Northwestern just doesn't have the horses to compete in basketball in particular.
Mike, I think he's a really good coach. I think he's an excellent coach. Forget the rivalry. He's really good at what he does. When he had talent when he has good players, they're tough. I mean, they guard. They do the best they can guarding. They run really, really good offense against zone man. They exploit mismatches as well. I just don't think he has the talent. And you're right. I don't remember which one of the subscribers up here said it. He should have got out. Because if they're not going to put the money into it, I mean, you can pick and choose which sport you like, football, basketball. Maybe people like them better. But I've always said it. It's been told to me by a bunch of people with a hell of a lot more money than I have. Good football programs are the cash cow. They were like, kid, it's common sense. You do the math. You pay $100 a ticket, and you got 65,000 people in the stands. Then versus basketball, you pay $50, you only got 16,000. So that's where the money comes in. That's not including concession stands or anything. So I get it, I understand it, but you can do both. I mean, we've seen teams do both.
Yeah, maybe Brett's going to run the 3-3-5, or hey, maybe just sneak a 12th guy on the field. That would be nobody else in the Big Ten would be doing that. So I will say that Brett knows how to coach up Illinois' defense. But to me, the biggest concern I have going into this season, I got two real concerns this season. One is how good is the quarterback, because Luke Altman is not the new guy at all. Has been such a fantastic quarterback. You hate to have to try to replace him. And then the other half is the defensive line that was not strong, got kind of picked apart. And can you get enough impact players there? Those are the two things I'm concerned about in football season.
Well, that's natural. I mean, the quarterback is one of the biggest positions, one of the most important positions on the field. So, but for some reason, and this is not me being with blinders on, I trust the staff. I just don't think they're going to
Yeah.
go backwards. I really
They've earned it,
believe.
right, Ked?
Yes, they have because they've done well. And if they just say hypothetically that they win 6 games and they go to a bowl game, sorry, you're not. I mean, that's still not bad. Is that what you want? No, it's not. I'm just looking at these recruits that they have. I know they signed a bunch of kids today that were not really what you consider 5-star athletes, but you got Michael Sedicic, you got the kid from Molina. I can't think of his name on it. He's from my
Matthew
hometown.
Bailey.
Yeah, Matthew Bailey. I mean, they're kids that I know. I'm sorry, Matthew, a guy that probably lives 5 miles from me. Those are players, but you know what? And it's nice to find diamonds in the rough. Devin Witherspoon, those are all nice, but that's not. You can't build a roster like that, and we've always said that. Brett has a system in place. I think having Barry Lunny back there is good, and it's nice when you look at the programs, all the athletic programs right now, women's basketball and men's program. They all have a system. They're all looking for certain things, and Brett's doing the same thing. Brad's looking for shooters, and he's looking for guys that can pass the ball. Shauna Green's looking for girls that are 6'3" and can all put on the floor and rebound and play multiple positions, and Brett is looking for guys that he can find that have speed and toughness, and guys that can put quarterbacks that can put the ball on the dime and can run clock and not put the ball in harm's way. Defenses that can get off the field. That's the problem that people had with Aaron Henry. They couldn't get off the field, even though I thought he got better down the stretch. Whether it be Bielema helping him out or whoever, I do think Aaron Henry got better. The latter part of the season. Actually, after the Washington game, I thought he got a lot better.
Yeah, and I think in the end, you're gonna see Brett has earned the faith of Illini fans, and trust is not given; it's earned. And he's done that. So now you're going to let him operate and see what he can do. I do think that he's probably more flexible than people thought he was when he took the job. I'm not certain if he goes quite as flexible as Brad Underwood, who's willing to change everything on the offseason. I mean, Brad Underwood is for all of his, this guy's a straight as an arrow, resolute guy. Brad Underwood's ready. If you could show him the stats, he'll switch up stuff pretty big in the offseason. And then going back to it, we will probably try to do a halftime show. We'll do a halftime show for sure. We'll do a post-game show on Saturday. And then depending on Ked, myself, and Brad, what we can do, we may even do a pregame at 6:30 leading into the game, so you don't have to get stuck listening to non-Illini content as you're getting ready for the game. So you can put us on YouTube while you're in your living room, or while you're getting that pot of chili all ready to break out for the game. We'll be talking about it, and I'm telling you, this is what the Big Ten is all about, because you look at what Illinois is got coming up here. It is going to be a boatload of fun to see this schedule, because you're looking at Michigan State on Saturday. Then you turn around and have Wisconsin, who is much better than I thought they were going to be this year. Indiana is then coming to town, and they've started to play better. I would love to have played them 4 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have that dreaded trip out to California to play UCLA and Southern Cal and UCLA. Come back to Champaign for that Friday night Fox game that I think is going to break the record for Fox on college basketball, which is Michigan and Illinois. Then you have Oregon, who, I got to be honest with you, Ked, I have no idea what's going on with Dana Altman out there. You got all this Nike money, and they're having a horrible year. And then you finish up, I guess Oregon is at home, and then you finish up going to Maryland, and then you're into the Big Ten tournament. So there's some really good games there when you figure Michigan, UCLA, Southern Cal, Indiana, Wisconsin, Michigan State. So might be nice. It would have been nice to spread those Oregon and Maryland games in between a couple of the tougher games, but
I agree. But they can't do, Mike, they can't slip up. I will say, I would go on record and say this, and I typically don't do this because people hold me accountable, which they should. If they win at Michigan State, I'm willing to go out and say I think they'll at least share the Big Ten title. I think Michigan has some tough games left. They have to go to Michigan State. I'm not sure if they have to go to Nebraska. They may not. I know they have to play Illinois. I'm sure they'll. I'm not for sure. If they have Indiana. Oh, I think they have to, and they may have to go to Mackey. So they'll have to play Purdue again. So Saturday's game looms large for Illinois in so many ways. I mean, if you can get another road win at Michigan State, I don't care if it's about 1 point. You walk out of there with a road win. That really changes everything. I mean, like the seeding and, Illinois if they beat Michigan State, people are going to possibly start talking about them being a number 1 seed with Michigan. They really are. So I've seen a lot of people having UConn up there and they're having a good season. You have to give Arizona credit for that. Everybody loves Duke. Not everybody, but the media does. So Illinois can sneak into that 1 seed line. That would be truly amazing. For Underwood and his staff to be able to pull something like that off.
Yeah, Michigan plays. They play Thursday night. That's tomorrow night against Penn State. Then they play at Ohio State. Then they go at Northwestern. So nothing too scary there. Then UCLA comes there to Michigan. That won't be easy. I'm not saying UCLA is great, but they're tough. And then Michigan goes to visit Purdue. Then they go play Duke in a neutral court game. And then it's Minnesota visits them, and then they play Illini. Then they wrap up traveling to Iowa, and then Michigan State comes to town. So you're right. Hey, look at this. Brad Sturdy has entered the building here in the Illini Guys studios. Mr. Sturdy, give us your impressions of this game. It was, I expected Illinois to win. I thought your 14 points prediction was pretty accurate, but holy cow, did Illinois win. And we are going.
Maybe he's not here.
Brad is here in spirit, not in voice. So we will give him a second to see if we can get him in to talk about this a little bit. But so Brad, you there?
Yeah.
All right. So you predicted a 14-point victory, which I thought was pretty spot on. Turned out that Illinois played a little better than that. What was it like there from front row?
Well, I got the points right for Illinois. I sort of missed by 26 on how many Northwestern was going to score. So, it was really, I'll be honest with you, this was one of the best performances I've seen from Illinois. I mean, I go back to this gave me 2005 Wake Forest vibes with the way they played and the energy and just the way I don't know. It was really interesting. Their defense was so good. They forced them into tough shots. They kept them to one shot on most possessions. And remember, their defense keeps improving, and they're doing it without Kylan Boswell, who's their best defender.
Yeah. So
this is really impressive. And so I love what I'm seeing from these guys. And the ball movement is unbelievable. And this game was why I think I tweeted this. Matt Painter was afraid of blitzing Wagler and making him give the ball up. You saw why tonight, because they just made easy passes. Remember, they had 70 points with 10 minutes to go or something like that. And so you're talking about at the end, they had all the subs in and they had guys, whatever. It was just kind of going through the motions. They could have scored. They could have scored if they'd have left the starters in. They scored 95 and put up crazy, ridiculous offensive efficiency again. I just don't know. I'm not sure they can play a lot better than they played tonight.
No, and I'll tell you, when you shoot 44.7% from the three on the same night that you hold the other team to a sub 30% shooting from the field. That's a hell of a wicked combination.
Yeah, especially when they take like 38 threes or something like that. Some crazy number.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, when you take that many threes and you make them at a high clip, you're probably going to win. I mean, so it's really hard to overcome that. And I'll be honest with you. I thought Northwestern was really physical with Illinois, and they got away with some bumps and pushing on drives. And so Illinois answered, and they got away with it too. They let them play. But usually in a game like that, the offenses struggle. Well, Northwestern's offense did struggle, but Illinois didn't at all. And you realize they started. It was about 7-5 after about 4 minutes, and that's when they just started rolling. And it was just they were basically locked up Northwestern, and the Northwestern scored at such a low rate, but they also only had one turnover. I mean, that's kind of stunning to score at that low of points per possession while only having one turnover. So it was just really impressive the way they did things, and their adjustments. Like, I was talking a little bit about the offense, and the defense, but the offensive adjustments they make. That it's like they go 4 minutes, and they kind of see what they're doing, the other team's doing, and sometimes the other team is doing something, and they can just click and go. Well, Northwestern, they're blitzing that ball screen, making Wagler give it up. And then they're running another guy. They're running the weak side defender up and attacking the pick and pop pass, right? So they after the first time out, they just make an adjustment. They do some different things, single actions, ball screens. They ran some more ghost actions. They ran some I thought then they got the guy to the nail. You saw Tommy go to the nail. I think Mihailo was in that game, and Tommy goes to the nail, dumps down, Dre dunks it. Just all those, they just make adjustments. And a lot of them are by Tyler Underwood. He makes the calls and different things, but a lot of them are just, those guys just playing basketball. And they're just so high IQ, they just make the right adjustment. You put them in the right setup, and they're going to make the right read. And it's certainly fun to watch.
All right, so the question I have for you is, and we've been talking about this, and we got to get your feedback. So you got Jeremy crotch kick Fears. You have the history with Io getting his face broke. You have Tom Izzo, who's the sixth man on the court, literally screaming at the referee the whole game. What is Illinois in for? And as mature as they are they prepared for what they're going to see at Breslin?
I think they are. Here's the thing. Now you have there's such a, how do we say, a camera on, or whatever you want to say, a microscope on Fears, that I don't think he can do anything without getting called out. It's like you get that reputation, right? And he's got it now. They watch this film, and you see the shots to the face, the shots to the neck, another trip, the trip last week of Luxembourg, the nut shot. I mean, you put all this stuff together, and anybody can tell me, oh, it just happens. No, it's not. I mean, this dude is doing this stuff. This is legitimate. He's doing it on purpose. Now, some of it I think is frustration, as they're in a little struggle bus. They started off so well, and we talked about this. The one thing Tom Izzo is great at early in the season, his dudes play harder than everybody else early in the season. He gets them ready to play, but they're not offensively overly gifted right this year. I mean, They're not. I mean, they don't have the offensive weapons they've had maybe in the past. Now they can grind you and they can beat you because they're great defensively, but so I think these guys are a little frustrated of late. They've lost a couple games here that they felt like they probably should have won. One at home, one on the road, and it's gonna be interesting. I think they're gonna pull out all the stops. He'll probably have the football pads out in practice because that's what he likes to do. But this team is so skilled. Illinois just takes whatever comes, and the only thing that concerns me about this game is if it gets chippy, And whether it's Z or Tommy or Merkovich or those are the guys I see it happening. It could be Jake Davis too, who gets it. They get in it, get a technical. Somebody gets. That's the only thing concerns me if one of those guys loses their composure a little bit. Like tonight. And tonight was more Tommy got a technical. He didn't care because they're ahead by 40. I mean, you can do that stuff when you're up 40, but if you're up 4. Yeah. That's not a good play, right? Now he missed both free throws, so the ball didn't lie. But this is So it just is. That's the biggest thing. It's composure when you go on the road in that atmosphere. But hey, it's not any more raucous than Purdue or Nebraska were, and they just go out and get it done. And I think right now, and I said this the other day, they're the best team in the country right now. Doesn't mean they're going to win the national title. Doesn't mean that they deserve to be the number one team. But right now, if you go over the past, 6 weeks, well, they won 12 in a row, but they're playing the best. I mean, they're winning games on the road against top 10 teams. They're beating, they're dominating teams at home. You can't really, I don't know that anybody else is playing quite as well as they are right now.
And so I guess my other question to you is, Brad, you've been obviously, covering Illinois for over 20 years. Is the Big Ten you get these things on video, especially the nut kick. Are we going to see them react to that and tell Mr. Fears that you've got a game or two to calm down?
Yeah, I always look at that. I'm not sure. It could happen. I mean, you remember Alan Griffin with the stomp.
And then that was much less. I'm not a huge Alan Griffin fan.
The ACC suspended Chris Paul for his nut punch of Julius Hodge in the ACC tournament. They suspended him for a game. So there is a history for doing this a little bit. So I don't know. I mean, it's possible they could do something. But I don't know if they will because, it's Tom Izzo and you know what I mean? He's Tom Izzo.
No, we know what I mean. We talked about it, that's what I talk about the sixth man because he is literally on the court, outside the coaching box for half the game.
It was 2 years ago. Literally, he was there was a dead ball. But he was literally out on the floor in the lane. I mean, it's insane that somebody's allowed to do that. I mean, I don't know. It was nuts. He was literally in the lane, in the middle. So, he actually said, in the post game, and I know people, think that this, that, or the other, or whatever. But I think his post game was accurate. I mean, Jeremy's got to grow up. I mean. And it's not Jeremy Fears is a really good basketball player. He's really good.
He's going to be overshadowed.
Now it takes away from what you do. I mean, you know what the opposite person is Keaton Wagler, who he gets called for hook and holds, and he just says, "Oh, you got called for a hook and hold because and that's his." And this is let's get into this. The penalty for kicking someone in the nuts is the same as a hook and hold.
Yeah.
Tell me that makes any sense.
Well, if the hook and hold is performed by Roman Reigns, then I can see where it would be worse.
Maybe.
But by most of the guys in the Big Ten basketball, no, you're right. The other thing we kind of talked about tonight was if David Merkovich wasn't on the same team with Keaton Wagler, we'd be talking about what a great freshman season he's been having. But yet he's under the radar. Nobody even notices because of how good Wagler's been.
So Merkovich, when David Merkovich has an offensive rating over 100 or over, triple-digit offensive rating. When he has that, Illinois is 18-0.
Wow.
He's the key. Because you have a secondary creator next to Wagler, then a guy who can pass, who can shoot, get to the rim. He does so many things offensively, and he moves the ball. I mean, he's a good passer, and he can back guys down. He can, and not that I always like some of the shots he takes when he backs people down, but he has the ability to just make plays, and he's a playmaker. When he's making good decisions, usually his O ratings lower when he turns it over too much, or when he has a really poor shooting game or something. But generally speaking, when he's been just good, he doesn't have to be great. When he's been just good, then he's the sidekick, and Illinois is 18-0, and that's kind of a telling stat, right?
A lot more telling than that stat about Andre that we saw today on Twitter. 9-2
when he scores double figures. Well, yeah, and I posted that one. I think they're 10-1 now when he, 10-2 now, but they're 9-1 when he doesn't. So it's like, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. So we're worse when he scores. So he's an X factor. We need him not to score, John Rothstein. No,
we need him to flip a coin and see what the hell happens.
Yeah. So no, but it's funny. But yeah, I mean that's reality. And again, Keaton Wagler, they wanted to get the ball out of his hands, so he just throws 13.7 rebounds and 5 assists up.
Yeah.
I mean, just like some years we'd be thinking, wow, that's amazing for a freshman. And it's like, wow, he didn't score 20.
Yeah, exactly. What happened to him?
What was wrong with him? Is he sick?
Yeah.
No,
he just had a half-court shot. That was it.
Yeah, he did throw in the 50-footer. Yeah. So no, and people are noticing this team. I mean, and obviously when you win 12 in a row, that happens. But I mean, you're starting to see them on. I've got them as the highest 2 right now on the NCAA seed line. I think they're ahead of Iowa State, conceivably. And so both teams have tough games down the stretch. We'll see how it comes. But then you've got your ones. If they beat they can beat Michigan State and Michigan here, they really are in a great place to be a 1 seed.
Yeah.
Obviously Arizona looks like they're a lock. They've got some tough games coming up too, but they look pretty much like a lock to be a 1 seed. And UConn's going to cruise because they're just dominating the Big East because it's not great.
There's nothing in it anymore. Yeah.
No, and so I think they're going to be the 1 seed, a 1 seed, and then Duke is just cruising through the ACC, and so in Michigan. So those seem to be the 4 1 seeds, and Illinois, I think, to get in there, they got to beat Michigan, and kind of see what happens. But Michigan's got games with Duke. They've got games at Illinois, Michigan State, right? Don't they play them again at home? I mean, we got some tough matchups. So you look at this, they could lose a couple, they drop a couple, and Illinois, wins out or goes, I don't even think they need to win out, but if they're like 18-2 in the Big Ten, probably going to get a 1 seed, and that's always nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's where you want to be. I mean, there's no doubt. Any final thoughts then, Brad? We're over the hour mark here. Any final thoughts
I'm sorry.
for you? No.
I thought it was interesting. You heard Brad Underwood talked a little bit about it. I'm going to write about this a little bit, but kind of talk about, defense. There's some defensive tweaks that you see. There's also some offensive tweaks that you see that have allowed them to do things. And so we'll kind of break that down a little bit, but I thought it's very interesting that Brad kind of has changed his philosophy. I mean, everybody says that Brad Underwood, he doesn't adapt, he doesn't change, doesn't make adjustments. When he first came here, remember it was overplay everything. We're going to turn people over, make them uncomfortable. Then it was, we're going to play no threes defense, right? We're not going to give up threes. Now it's like totally opposite. We're not giving up anything at the rim. If you're going to score at the rim, you're going to score over a 7-foot guy or a 7'2" guy. And we're going to defend the rim like it's, the capture the flag, right? And if they get a 3 out of a rotation, then we're okay with it. As long as we contest that 3, we fly out at it. So it's really crazy how they've done that. And they also obviously make adjustments like the right guys take shots. I mean, there's a reason some guys get open threes against Illinois. And they've really made this change since the Nebraska game. And we've seen it, and it's really paid off. He said that he's bought all in now. He had to go all in, and he had to make that adjustment. And I think there was a lot of truth to that, because I think, he used to be no threes, because again, Illinois wants to shoot threes and then defend the rim and score at the rim, right? They don't want to take twos, mid-range twos. They don't. That's not their part of their. That's not what they want to do on offense. But they want other teams to do that. But by protecting the rim, you are going to give up a 3 now and then. But you also just make it very frustrating for the other team when you're defending the rim so well. and they're going to miss a lot of those shots just because you're defending the rim. So you've seen that adjustment defensively, and kudos to Cam Crocker, Zach Hamer breaking down the analytics, all those things. Those guys did a great job, and they sold Brad on it. And so there's another midseason adjustment. We saw it 2 years ago. Remember, the midseason adjustment was to play through Damask, play booty ball, right?
Yep, exactly.
After the Tennessee loss at Tennessee. Then this year, after the Nebraska loss, like, all right, we got to change defense, make these adjustments defensively. We can still score. They've always been able to score, but now they're just on a different level defensively. Top 20 now on Ken Pop. So, yeah, this might be it. We're kind of watching a special season. I know it's kind of flying by, it seems like, and it's almost like it's exciting and things like that. But tonight was like exciting, but also like almost boring because it was so easy. They just completely dominated them. I mean, the game was over midway through the first half. It was like, okay, we're up. Well, Illinois is up 20. I don't know.
You rarely see a team of his get flattened like this.
No, and he even said after the game, they're a vastly better team than we are. And even at what he did at the end, like the last 10 minutes, he played his subs off the bench because his guys he doesn't have a bench. I mean, and so he needed to rest his guys. And so he said Martinelli scored 4. I mean, it's been like he hasn't scored that few in like 2 years. So yeah. And you think about that. They did that to him. Last time the only way they could stop him was when Boswell guarded him. Well, now they did a better job of, making those rotations and coming, and they got that double help, and they do some things, a little bit like tonight they had the baseline help from the 7-footers, a little bit like Nebraska did, right? I mean, like against Illinois. And the difference is Northwestern doesn't have a 7-foot guy on the opposite side draining threes. Right, exactly. And so, so yeah, it was fun to watch. And I'm very intrigued to see this. They're basically the best offense and the best defense going head to head on Saturday night. So that should be a lot of fun.
So, folks, we will be back Saturday. We'll probably we're looking at it. We know we're going to do a halftime and a post-game show. Should be an exciting evening. Definitely, share that when we get the schedule out. Share that with your friends. Share it on social media. Of course, join IlliniGuys.com. We would love to have a game room and in the message boards and getting all the behind-the-scenes stuff. We'll also probably be talking and have more information to talk Illini defensive coordinator as well. Non-basketball stuff that we talk about in there to not just limit ourselves to basketball. And again, folks, I don't want Jeremy Fears to not play. I'd rather have him play, but I'd rather have him show some class and cut that crap out. We all saw what happened with the IO Hatchet job a few years ago. Hopefully it'll be a nice, clean game. We'll see which team is better, and it should be a ton of fun on Saturday night. Until then, folks, go Illini.